To take away our identity, our language. We were forbidden to speak. How can you do that, Canada? How can you do that to our people?
And I want to say to all the people who are here, the other First Nations, my Inuit brothers and sisters, the Métis people who are here, Canadians, thank you. Thank you. This Parliament Hill, which is on unsurrendered, unceded Algonquin territory, is flooded with red because it represents Canada. I am so happy. My heart soars and my spirit is with joy that I see orange face who have a voice. Use it to question why was this history buried? Why was this history never told about what the First Nations people through this notorious policy called residential schools? And we were told to be patient because truth was coming. And we are here today. Truth. Truth. And it is only true enough that truth will be understood. We must come together with that one mind, one heart, one spirit, and one determination that no more will First Nations children, Indigenous children have to suffer colonial policies.
We are heartbroken. But God, if we truly listened, We can't be surprised. The elders and the communities had already told the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The elders told the governments and the world the stories of the children dead and buried. These children unnoted by the settler systems, but never ever forgotten by their siblings, their parents, their communities, their nations. We grieve for Indigenous children taken from their homes and parents by the Canadian government, handed over to the responsibility of the Christian churches, the children who died under its care, never to be held by their families, never to be returned to their communities. 215 at Kamloops, BC, 104 at Brandon, Manitoba, 751 at Coas, Saskatchewan, 38 at Regina, Saskatchewan, 35 at Lestock, Saskatchewan, and 182 at Tnaxa, BC. And all of those hundreds of children whose bodies have not yet been found on the grounds of former residential schools. There will be more. The children are waiting to be found. This is a bitter truth, hidden in Canadian history and now open to scrutiny.
Today is to honor the 250, the 751, the 185, those children who were recovered, those children who were hidden, those children who were buried. And I want to see Canada change its actions, change its mind, change its tone. It is a time now for truth.
We lament that even one child was taken, that even one child died, that even one child's death went unnoted by the system.
We grieve for the survivors of the Indian residential schools, the children who did come home, but were changed by their experience.
And we grieve for the children who grew up and have the trauma of remembering again what happened to them.
We pray for Indigenous elders and those who keep the teachings of their people.
We pray for all who work for the wholeness and health of their communities.
Because without First Peoples, there would be no Canada Day. To all the unmarked children, we love you. To all the survivors of residential schools, we love you. Today, we are all listening. Keep speaking the truth because we owe it to the 250, the 751, the 185, and the many more that will be uncovered. We owe them that truth. We will listen!
Because for decades, residential school survivors have been telling their stories of the violence and the atrocities they endured. And these included stories of children who disappeared, children who were raped, children whose deaths they witnessed, and children who they were forced to bury. All Canadians need to mourn these children and the many thousands of others who never made it home to their families. Canadians need to stand in solidarity with residential school survivors, their families, and all Indigenous people for what the federal and provincial governments did and are doing to their communities and their society for more than 150 years. Canadians must also acknowledge that residential schools were part of a colonial and national policy of genocide intended to eradicate Indigenous cultures, languages, and communities. And while the last residential school closed in 1996, the intergenerational trauma endures, and anti-Indigenous prejudice and racism are far too common. Every Canadian today who benefits from living on this land that was stolen from Indigenous peoples has a duty to ensure justice and accountability for the harms inflicted upon them in this country. It should not take the tragic discovery of 1,325 dead children to motivate us to take action. And this won't change unless the wider Canadian community acts, us. It is not an Indigenous problem. This is a Canadian problem, and we need to act. It's the right thing to do. It's the just thing to do. And most importantly, it is the human thing to do.
Imbalanced treaty and trade, the Indian Act, the imposition of governance systems acceptable to colonial powers, and the forced taking away of traditional ways, the shrinking reserves, planned malnutrition, forced Christianity, racism on individual and systemic levels, ongoing broken promises, the genocide and intergenerational trauma of Canada's residential school system. These are just a few of the things that colonization has meant in this place. The unmarked graves of over 1,200 Indigenous children, the ones who didn't come home from residential schools after being taken from their families. The knowledge of what the survivors have been telling us, their truth for decades. And the clear knowledge that there will be more unmarked graves found. Because this isn't just history. This isn't just about July 1st, 1867. It's about now, today, July 1st, 2021, and about all the days to come. To journey in a good way, to seek right relationship with the Indigenous peoples of this land, we need to work together, to stay the course, to live with the horror and not turn away, to listen carefully. We need to keep learning, because learning is preparation and preparation is action. And when the time is right, we need to act in humility, in solidarity, in truth, in justice, and in love.
This is your time too. You use it wisely. And remember, we ask you, respect us, walk with us, love us, continue to walk with us.